Now, folks, calm down. If there is a trade made between the time I am talking into this microphone and the time this YouTube video is published and public, then I apologize. You know I record these videos the night before and pre-schedule upload them for the next morning. So this is no different, and instead of going over some of the extra, commentary bits, we're talking about Jake DeBrusk trolling fans or some other conversations from social media, we are talking about actual media. Because earlier this weekend on the Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night headlines, we had ourselves Elliotte Friedman go out there and give a brief but illuminating trade update in regards to the Vancouver Canucks. And I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read some of the stuff over here to an article published on CanucksDaily.com by Cooper Godine. Because what Godine does in this article is he pretty much gives the tale of the tape. He summarizes a lot of the latest Canucks news and trade talk and then dives into the Elliotte Friedman comments that we so care about. This always happens every Saturday. Friedman on Hockey Night in Canada spews the news. He's got a whole bunch of stuff that he usually ends up talking about, and it provides for some very interesting commentary. A lot of fans like to get involved with the Elliotte Friedman stuff every single time he does it. But this article on CanucksDaily.com has those comments, so without further ado, let's go out there and read. During Saturday headlines in the second intermission of Hockey Night in Canada, last night, so it was actually November 30th, Sportsnet insider Elliotte Friedman spoke about the Vancouver Canucks and how aggressive they have been on the trade market. Friedman said that despite Allvin being aggressive, the Canucks have made it known that they are not going to make a trade out of desperation based on their current situation on the blue line, with injuries to Filip Hronek and Derek Forbort, as well as the subpar play of others. Vancouver is down D-men. They've also struggled a bit defensively. They have one of the most aggressive front offices in the league. Everybody knows it. Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin, they're not afraid to do anything. They have made it very clear, we're not going to do something just because other people think we're desperate, Friedman said. He went on to add, the Vancouver Canucks have indicated, yes, we're looking, but we're not going to do anything because people think we are desperate. And that's essentially it. The article has a little bit of extra flavor towards the end there, but realistically, that's the meat and potatoes of it. Elliotte Friedman giving some sort of a, let's just say, more conservative trade update with the Vancouver Canucks. Sure, they're aggressive. Sure, they're generally seen as aggressive, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that the Canucks are desperate, quote unquote. And ultimately, what I take out of this commentary from Friedman is that the Vancouver Canucks are trying to be very careful. Not that they haven't been careful in the past few months or the past year or the past 2 years with Allvin at the helm, but it's become a lot more apparent that Rutherford and Allvin, from their days in Pittsburgh and especially to their days in Vancouver last year, this team can be very aggressive when it comes to making trades. And ultimately, that can be seen as a double-edged sword because whilst teams acknowledge, oh yeah, Vancouver's trying to set the market, Vancouver is trying to get in early, Vancouver really wants to get this done, it does open the door for teams to take advantage of Vancouver's woes and be like, hey, they kind of need defense. They really need defense because their decor is so left side heavy with Hughes and Bronstrom, and I guess you can say Soucy, who actually has been playing a little bit better as of late. And then on the right side, you've got Myers, Juleson, Desharnais. Those guys are like total ticking time bombs of defensemen. So, of course, the Vancouver Canucks would be desperate. If they're aggressive, that fits with what they've been doing the past few years, but they're in a spot where they could be a little bit more aggressive now. So, yeah, desperation. Desperation. It's a possibility here. And I think a lot of teams would go out there and use that to their advantage. So Friedman nipping that in the bud right away, saying, yeah, the Canucks are going to respond to that. They're going to do their own 3D chess here. They're going to make sure that they don't come across as desperate, and as a result, they're not super eager on making a trade right now. It is kind of interesting, though, because I think that idea does contradict some of the other information that we have seen out of Canucks-related news and media the past few months, because there was an idea floating around. I forgot if it was Friedman or Saravalli or maybe even Dhaliwal. Or, actually, I think it might have been Drager. I totally forgot. But there was another radio hit kind of piece of Canucks news that we saw saying that the Vancouver Canucks might actually be interested in waiting it out till Thatcher Demko comes back, and then they can make some sort of a trade, or they might make a trade in the meantime while JT Miller is coming back, or whatever. There are a lot of ideas about the Vancouver Canucks and their trade situation floating around all over the regular media landscape. I say regular media and not social media because I'm literally talking about like professional hockey writers and analysts and stuff, you know, people that actually get paid to cover the sport, unlike me, who just does it voluntarily and ends up getting paid because of YouTube ads. But anyways, Elliotte Friedman is giving the scoop here. Hold your tongue a little bit if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan hoping and expecting a trade in the short-term future. They're not going to do something because other people think that they are desperate. They're just going to go out there, see what's out there, and do what they feel is necessary to contend and maintain their competitive spot. Now, with this in mind, I wanted to go over to one of the other trade updates that we have seen out of a Vancouver Canucks player. 2 weeks ago, Kevin Weeks reported that the Columbus Blue Jackets had interest in Canucks forward Nils Hoglander. Yesterday, on the 1st of December, Rick Dhaliwal reported that the Blue Jackets' assistant GM was at the Canucks and Red Wings game, and that they also have an interest in Hoglander. So with this in mind, is this more of a likely scenario? Is this coming to a possibility here where the Vancouver Canucks make some sort of a trade with Columbus, for example, and they grab themselves a defenseman or something like that, sending over Hoglander to Columbus in the process? Now, we had spoken about this already in the first Nils Hoglander trade video, the Kevin Weeks thing about how Hoglander is valued by some of these other teams, but the idea of having Nils Hoglander on the same team as Kent Johnson, oh boy, the Michigan potential in that lineup. Of course, though, that's like one very asinine and small aspect of the conversation that doesn't really say anything. It's just a little bit of an extra tidbit of info there, but still, Hoglander, I think he would fit pretty well in Columbus. I think they play the style that he would excel at. They have room for younger guys who have a little bit of snarl to maybe find their game a little bit better. Hoglander did score 20-plus even strength goals last year, so he's got value. His contract, $3 million a year for a while, definitely not the most ideal when you consider how poorly he's been playing this season, but still, there's value if you want to believe in the long-term projection of Nils Hoglander, and it's why a team like Columbus being one of the most interested teams here, not really surprising, especially when you consider their position and what they have going on in their organization. It also is interesting, though, that Dhaliwal said that the AGM for Columbus was scouting that Vancouver and Detroit game. Who knows if that's a telltale sign that a trade is coming soon. Too bad David Jiricek already got traded, or else that would have been a really nice transaction to make a hold of. But if it's not David Jiricek, I don't know, maybe it's Damon Severson or Provorov, I guess, because he's been a guy whose name has been linked out there to a whole bunch of different teams. Who really knows, though? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Vancouver Canucks trade update. Elliotte Friedman speaking out about Patrick Allvin and their unwillingness to make some sort of a desperation move, as well as Rick Dhaliwal's comments on Nils Hoglander and the Columbus Blue Jackets' interest in Ohio. Riz in Ohio. It's all about Ohio. If you have any trade ideas that you actually think would be interesting to talk about, then hey, leave them in the comment section below. What do you think would actually get this done with the Columbus Blue Jackets? What are your thoughts on the idea of Hoglander being the piece to help out CBJ? They've been stringing together some wins lately. That Kent Johnson, ever since returning from injury, has been absolutely spectacular. We really cannot discredit what that guy has been capable of doing with all the points and all the goals and everything else in between. Adam Fantilli's looking all right. You have like Dmitry Voronkov, who is looking pretty good too. A lot of really underrated guys in the Columbus Blue Jacket system that have actually been showing off very well. Sean Monahan, too, has been one of those throughout the year, but either way, could Hoglander be a part of that crew? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.